Yay! Okay, we are recording. So, hey everybody, welcome to the Stronger Together Team Huddle, Monday Night Team Huddle, and I can't even tell you how pumped I am. We just got back from David Worry's GoPro event in Vegas. Lindsay, Jocelyn, and I went. 20,000 people from 137 countries around the world. I mean, it was awesome. Nobody took the stage unless they were a seven-figure income earner. And I will tell you, a lot of them were, well, not a lot of them, but some of them were eight-figure a year income earners. What it really showed me was what is possible in this. And I knew what was possible, but what even more what is possible. So what we're going to be talking about today is really the mindset of an entrepreneur. We have the ability. I mean, do you guys, if you really understood what we have here, we have the ability to earn a seven-figure, multiple seven-figure income with no capital, no overhead, no risk, and with very little skill that we actually have to learn, right? But what it does take is it takes the mindset of an entrepreneur. Now, what is an entrepreneur? An entrepreneur is somebody who's willing to give, to invest their time, their money, their heart, their soul, their blood, sweat, and tears with the anticipation that it's going to one day pay off, okay? But a lot of people come into this. Now, first off, I want to kind of put the caveat out there that there are a lot of people who come into this and they are just product users. They're just consumers. They love the product. They're raving fans of the product. 80% of people are going to come in that way, and that is awesome. But and some people are going to come in and they're going to be product sharers, which is they're going to introduce it to a few people. They're going to make less than $500 a month. They're just casual sharers. But then there's the 5% of people who really do something with this. And these are the people who earn the larger incomes, whether that's $1,000 a month, whether that's $100,000 a year, whether that's $1 million a year. It doesn't really matter. But there's only 5%. So what I'm talking about is I'm talking about those 5%. And we're going to be talking about the mindset that you need to have to really to be one of those 5%. Okay, so first off, an employee, the thing is, employees are looking, the difference between an employee mindset and an entrepreneur mindset. An employee is looking for somebody else to motivate them. They're looking for their manager, their supervisor, somebody to tell them what to do. Okay? And in this, we have to motivate ourselves. We have to be the person who cheers ourselves along, and sometimes it can be a lonely business. I mean, we have this whole group, but you are the one who has to tell yourself to get going. There's also a difference in an employee is willing, is trading time for money. And the reality with being an entrepreneur, and particularly in network marketing, is at the beginning, you are going to be you're going to be spending a lot more time versus the money. You're going to be way underpaid for your efforts. And then for a short period of time, you're going to be equally paid for your efforts. And then for a very long period of time, you're going to be way overpaid for your efforts. But you got to get to that time where you're way overpaid for your efforts. And that's where you have to develop the mentality. And, one of the questions I want to ask everybody, and we're going to talk about this, is people come into this and they're like, yes, I want this. But then they disappear. And then they'll do it a little bit, and then they'll not do it for a while, and then they'll do it for a little bit, and then they won't do it for a while. If in your job, you just didn't show up for 5 days, what would happen? If you decided not to come to work for 2 weeks, what would happen? Right? Yeah, exactly. You're not going to last. If, your dog died, could you not come to work for 5 days? Probably not. Yet in this, we're building something that could possibly pay us $1 million a year, but oftentimes we don't do it if we don't feel like it. I will tell you guys a story. The day my husband told me he was leaving, I had to do a launch party that was being streamed all over the country. It came as a total shock, and I went and did that launch party anyway. Because I was building a legacy. You've got to create that mindset that you're going to do this. It doesn't matter. If you're committed to it, you're going to do it really no matter what. Now that doesn't mean you can't take some time off, but it means you need to develop the habits. And I'm going to talk really quickly about some of the habits that you need to create. And then I want to really open it up to everybody else to talk about, where are you treating it like a business, and where are you really treating it like a hobby or something that you do when you feel like it? So the habits that you need to create is, first, one, you need to treat it like a business. So you need to create a space to do it. Now, it could be a designated office, or it could be, but you have to have somewhere where you're setting yourself up. Okay, that's first and foremost. Then you need to mark out when you're going to do it. I mean, if you really have big goals, and I think that a lot of people on this call have big goals, you need to designate work hours. I have designated work hours that I'm doing this. Now, it doesn't need to be a lot. If you're part-time, maybe it's 10 hours a week. Maybe it's 2 hours, a night. 5 nights a week. I know Kevin and Pam Barnum, that's how they built their business. They worked full-time jobs, but they built it 2 hours a night, 5 nights a week. Maybe it's, 3 hours on Saturday, but you have to have designated times that you are actually doing this. You also need to touch your business every day, which means going into your back office and looking through your reports. Now, I'm not going to go into all the reports that you need to, how to do that. That's a specific training, not so much a team huddle. But you need to be looking, the report you do want to look at is your business blueprint by category. That's going to tell you, who are the potential people who could get to manager, who could get to consultant, who could get double PIB. That's going to tell you who you should be calling. Okay? I look at my business. There has not been a day in 8.5 years, including Christmas, including my birthday, including when I was really sick with pneumonia and the flu, that I didn't at least look at my business. It took 5 minutes to just look at it and make sure everything was copacetic. Okay? You want to, treat it like a business. Tax write-offs are huge, right? The tax savings are, so keep your receipts. Set it up so you keep your receipts. And again, we won't go into all the benefits there, but our single biggest expense are taxes. And I will tell you that people are missing out because they're not tracking it. Okay? Events. I am just going to say this. If you're doing this as a business, events are mandatory. You go to events. I mean, events build this business. We just got back from an event, and a huge event, top networkers in the world, and all of them said, what events build your business. We've got an event coming up, New Year's kickoff. You get to the event, and if you can't get to the event, you figure out a way to get to the event. I went to my first event with negative balance in the bank. I figured out a way to go with 4 days notice. So you got to sort of develop this burning desire, for this. And it doesn't have to be full time. but it does have to be a focus, and that's where the personal development and the goal setting comes in. A business has goals. You've set goals for yourself. If you haven't set goals, then you're really not in business. You need to set goals because you can't achieve goals if you don't have them, right? And a business is in the business of making money. That's, we can talk all we want about it, but that's what a business is for. It's to generate a profit. And so you could be doing this, for a lot of reasons, but you need to be charting your progress. So set your goals. And now is a perfect time to set them for the new year. And we're going to be talking more about that later. But then the personal development. This is huge. This whole business is about personal development, guys. And, a lot of people have personal development budgets. Eric Worre said when he started out, he had a personal development budget of $500. Jocelyn and Aaron, I know, have a personal development budget of 10% of their income goes to personal development. Now, that could be a seminar, that could be books, that could be an audio program, that could be going to, like a Tony Robbins event or a landmark. It could be anything like that. But we build our business when we build ourselves. And so we really need to build ourselves. So, those are some of the habits that you really need to create. And again, we haven't gone into real depth, but I want to hear, how do you guys feel you're treating this? Are you treating it as a business, or are you treating it as a hobby? Do you have with that entrepreneur's mindset? An entrepreneur is willing to do more. Sometimes when I hear, well, I'm not going to work on Sunday, or I'm not going to work on Saturday. If you're willing to work hard for a few years, you can have everything you want for the rest of your life. If in your job, your boss said, look, if you put in an extra 10 hours a week and really focus, I will pay you an extra $100,000 a year in 5 years, and I will pay it to you for the rest of your life. Would you do it? Of course you'd do it, right? 10 hours a week, everybody would do it. But people, aren't willing to necessarily do that with this. So here's where I want to get your guys, let's talk. So where do you find that you are treating it as a business, or you're not? And what are the people who are doing this full time? And we've got Lindsay and Elliot and Jocelyn and Aaron. How has it shifted when you moved to full time, and what have you learned along the way? Who'd like to talk? Hands? Aaron.
Wow, such great points. And to answer your question, what has shifted for me going from full-time or part-time to full-time, right? That's what you wanted to know? Mm-hmm. That now that I could create how my day went, there are certain activities that don't really fulfill on my why, on why I'm building a business. I found that one day I spent 4 hours on emails and on Facebook, and I wasn't just watching cat videos. I was actually putting out good content. But when I realized, it's like, did I retire to spend 4 hours doing emails and being on Facebook? Absolutely not. So I noticed that when I had the freedom of time, it was easy. It's easy to fill your time up. You can find all kind of stuff to do, but that's not going to be the most effective things for me. So I started to look at, well, one, this is my business. I got clear on why I'm doing it. And then two, what aspects of it am I really good at that I really love to do? And I started doing those. So I put some team calls together that I'm loving connecting with people, speaking. I don't know if people know that I love to speak or not, but I started to put in those activities, clarity of this business that I love to do, and then put aside the little menial tasks about emails and the other stuff that's not, as you'll hear me say, zone of genius type stuff.
Awesome. And I think that's one of the big thing is guarding your time. If you're going to spend 2 hours a day, or if you're going to spend 8 hours a day, or however long you're going to spend it in focused activity that is going to move your business forward, which is connecting with people. We're in the business of connecting with people, honestly. That's what it comes down to. And so you need to be spending, Kathy Cooper would say, 80% of your time recruiting, going out and talking to new people. And so, talking to 2 people a day, setting some benchmarks for yourself. So, Lindsay, what were you going to say?
I didn't have anything specific. I think everything you said was so valid. And throughout the years that we've been involved, there was definitely a shift when we started to treat it as a business. I can't remember if I was probably still working. It kind of all mixes together, but simple things like logging into the back office every single day and combing through the tree, really getting acquainted with what was going on in my team, no matter how big or small my team was, starting to log in and envision it as a big business, knowing that I would one day have a team where there was going to be a lot to look at. I would need to log in every day or several times a day. So that's something really easy that no matter how new you are, is something to put into place immediately and start to treat it as though it's a big business right now, because then it will become a big business in the future.
Exactly. It's act as if, So Jocelyn, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I love this topic. And I agree to everything already said. One additional thing was the way I thought about it. And this is actually, I've been retired now for a year, and this is really starting to even click for me in the last few months, is before, my relationship to it was like, it was connected to my emotions. And if I felt something or not, instead, I now have my business as a separate entity that I ask how I can be of service to it, instead of like it being personal to me. And am I, do I want to do this or not? I instead am like, how can I be of service to this business, which is my why, my vision, right? What I'm creating, what I'm up to. So the relationship to it is more of I'm being of service to it, to my vision. And that for me drives inspired action and helps me keep from like, even, when I look at it as I'm being of service to it, logging into my back office makes sense because I can be of better service to it. So just that mindset for me made a huge difference.
Oh, and I think that's really key, is a lot of times people, because we are in the relationship business, people tend to take things very personally. If somebody returns product, or if somebody doesn't order again, or if somebody, says they're going to do something and they don't do it, we take it all very personally. But if you treat it like this is a business that is going to grow, if you view it as exactly like Jocelyn says, I'm of service to this, I don't take anything personally. If somebody doesn't want to use the products, I still love them. And, it's just that it wasn't for them. If they don't want to do the business, if it's not for them, then that's exactly, Rachel, they're not saying no to you, right? One of the things I equate it to is, like Louise is a marathon runner, right? And I have lots of friends who are marathon runners. I have friends who are super marathon runners, which is crazy to me. I could not, nor do I ever want to, run a super marathon, right? And they can talk to me all day long about how awesome it is, but it's just not for me. But it has nothing whatsoever to do with them. I still think they're awesome for being able to do it. It's just not for me. And I view it the same way. So you need to kind of take the emotion out of it and treat it as a business. And one of the things, that really came to me today, it was like, oh my gosh. So we set some goals when we were at this event. Jocelyn and Lindsay and I set some goals for where we wanted to be in a year by the end of 2018. Okay, so it's a year and a month. Tomorrow we will be 400 days from, exactly 400 days from the end of 2018. And we have big goals, and we have 400 days to hit them. Every day counts. Every day counts. And so what can we do every day to move a little bit towards that goal? And that's why, I'm a goal junkie. But one of the things goals do is you can ask yourself in your activity, is this moving me towards my goal or away from my goal? And and don't get me wrong. I mean, last night I came back, my mind was fried. We'd been up till like 10, 11 o'clock, in session. We've been learning. I came back, I made a few phone calls, and then I sat on the couch and watched Grey's Anatomy with my daughter. And had a glass of wine and some popcorn. I have lots of free time. I'm a single mom of 3 kids. I have quality time with my kids. I have downtime. But when I am working, I am focused working. I am laser focused, and I ask myself with every activity, is this moving me towards my goal or away from my goal? And I have that goal front and center. And so know what you want to achieve. Where do you want to create a grand vision for your life? This is a business of being visionaries. And so anybody else who sees themselves, I mean, have you heard anything that you're not doing that you're going to start doing? Yes, Elliot.
Well, first of all, I just love the take inspired action. And I think there's such a fine line between taking inspiration and creating inspiration and not taking things personally. Like that line is sometimes can be razor thin, because you're sharing something so when you're creating inspiration, that's like something very personal. Like you're sharing your why, your vision, and then someone's like, no, I don't see that at all. That's not for me. So I think that's definitely I just have such a huge takeaway from that. But I wanted to throw this question out to the group. What does treating it like a business mean to you? Does that mean, is there something that turns you on or turns you off about that? I just want to just get some different ways of thinking. What does treating it like a business mean to somebody maybe who's a little bit newer, or what does that mean to you? Because treating it full time could mean something totally different to someone who's putting it into pockets of their life. So I don't know, someone who's doing something full time, implementing this for pockets of their life. What does treating it like a business mean to you? Okay.
Anybody? Oh, Rachel? Did you?
No, I'll talk. Okay, so nice mustache, Elliot. I like that.
Thank you.
Anyways, I would say, okay, so I have an incredibly tight schedule. So I'm 45 hours kind of on mandatory overtime right now, and I'm going to school part-time. And so for me, I would think, and this would be ideal, I'm just now trying to get to that point where I can, the thing that spoke to me the most so far is designating work hours. That would be kind of the thing I need to do. And even if it's minimal, 5 hours a week or something like that, but that they're designated and focused. And so that to me would be working it as a business would be during those time that are designated, make sure they're focused or income producing activities or something where it's connecting with people. I can fill 5 hours a week with just looking at isogenic stuff or being on the website, but that's not necessarily gonna get me closer to my goals. So that would kind of be what I would want to do. And my focus is to make sure that, a portion of that 5 hours or whatever, and preferably a larger portion is focused towards people, like meeting other people, networking with people, emailing people, calling people, whatever. People.
Exactly. And that is so key. Whatever time you have, whether it's 5 hours, whether it's 10 hours, set those hours, because if we just think it's going to fall into, it's just going to happen. Sometimes it does. It happens in the pockets of our lives, but you need to be intentional about it. That's part of it. So who else? What does it mean, treating it like a business to you? Anybody else? Hilda.
Hi. So when I hear treating it like a business, I like that, because when I'm at work, for example, I'm full-time at work, and then I do a plethora of other things. I'm focused while I'm at work. But where I'm noticing I'm getting stuck is almost what you said earlier. It's not that I looked to my boss, but I do look to my boss if I have nothing to do. Like today, I was actually thinking about, whoa, I'm really caught up. And, all my events are out. I'm an event planner. Holiday parties are set. I'm working on next year. I'm really ahead of time. So I was going to ask my boss, what do I do next? Right. And so to have a business where I have to ask myself, what do I do next? I'm going to go watch TV now. That's what I'm going to do. It's time to catch up on my shows. So, for me, it's almost okay, what? I'm just in the inquiry of what do I need to then put in place? Do I need to reach out to Jocelyn, who's my sponsor? Who, and I see her as my mentor, and Erin too, do I need to reach out to them and treat them almost like a boss, not really, but a boss. In the meantime, while I just establish those habits. So, that's just what I'm noticing. I'm oh, business, I can do this. I can set time aside. And I'm even thinking in my calendar, okay, I'm always free on these days, and just go there. But it's in those moments, I have nothing to do, or I've done it all. What can I put in place? So that's just where I'm at.
Well, and I think that's the biggest thing, is, and thank you so much, Hilda, for sharing that, it's really marking it out. Get your calendar out. Mark out the times that you've got kids, you've got work, you've got church, you've got, bowling, whatever it is. Mark it out, and then mark out the times, that you're going to work out. We got to take care of all of our lives, but there's going to be some other pockets, and then make those, mark them out that they're isogenics. Tell your family, hey, this is when I'm going to be doing this, right? Passion planner. Have a planner and have it, look at your days and figure out when you can actually do this. And if you do that and you set aside that time, and then you plan the week before, what am I going to do during that time? So you're not sitting down and trying to figure out what you're going to do, but that I've got a list of 5 people I'm going to call during that time. Or I'm going to, I'm going to do a call with Jocelyn, and then I'm going to, text 5 people. So that when you have that time, you hit the ground running, and you can actually do it. And then you're doing it with intention. And when you do it with intention, things happen. It's pretty amazing. So anybody else before we we're gonna, now it's 7:00, and I really want to respect people's time. So our technical team huddle is over, but we are going to, because we just came back from this event where the best minds in the world in network marketing, we really wanted to be able to share what our biggest takeaways from that event were with you guys. So you're welcome to hop off, but is there anything else before we move on to the next topic, which is what our takeaways from this event? Anybody? Okay, well, I will start with my biggest takeaways. One of the things that I got, we heard from some incredible people. And, I wrote down some notes. So there was an amazing woman. She was the top income earner worldwide in Mary Kay, and she was powerful. And she I really resonated with her. And one of the things that she shared was that, people hear this, well, first off, there's a difference between believing and knowing. And knowing is so much more powerful. Knowing creates expectation. So if you believe you can hit Crystal Executive, that has a certain power to it. But if you know you can hit Crystal Executive, you know you're going to hit Crystal Executive, that's totally different. And I know that the times in my business where I have known, and I just say it, I speak the words. I know I am doing this. Not I believe or I'll try or any of that. I know I am doing this. It's a done deal. I know that it's a done deal. And sometimes you just have to get yourself there. So that was really powerful for me. The other thing she talked about was this idea of entitlement. And she said entitlement is a bad word. People feel, when people are entitled, it's kind of a bad thing. But she said, really, it's not. Entitled means you believe you are, or know you are inherently deserving of something. And really to build a legacy business. I mean, this woman makes a 7-figure a year annual income. She's looking for people who know they are inherently deserving of more in their life. And they're going to go out and get it. You just need to show them the vehicle. And that, having that power and really looking for people who are better than you. Everybody talked about that. Sir Richard Branson, who was, oh my gosh, he was incredible. But he talked about that. He built his businesses by surrounding himself by people who are better than him, who are smarter, who are more talented. And that's what we need to go, that's who we need to be talking about. So oftentimes people will, quote, prospect down. They're prospecting to people who they want to, they think, are not, that they can really help. And we want to help people, but we want people who want to help themselves as well. People who can really go after this. And so that was one of my big takeaways is really looking for those influencers and looking for people who inherently know they are deserving of more. Then the other one, and so many people talked about this, and I wrote down this quote that Eric Worre said: "The barrier to greatness in network marketing is emotional strength." That you have to have mental toughness to do this. You're going to hear no. You're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have wall-kicking moments. You're going to have moments where you want to quit. And you've got to have the mental toughness to get through it. And mental toughness is turning obstacles into opportunities. And I mean, that was a really big one. I mean, he talked about, some massive obstacles that he overcame where his sponsor was doing everything. And setting up these meetings, and these meetings were well run, and they're 45 minutes, and all he had to do was bring people to these meetings. He was bringing one person every meeting. There were 3 meetings a week, and it was going along, and he was building a business, and it was going at a certain pace. But then his mentor left. He moved to St. Louis, so he was no longer doing the meetings. And then the meetings started getting really bad. The people who started running them, they were going an hour and a half, and there was no music, and then they cut it down to 2 a week, and he could see the writing on the wall. It was going to get cut down to 1 a week, and then 1 a month, and he thought, I've got to do this. I've got to do this for myself. And so he took his rent money, $300 is all he had. It was for rent. And he went and he put it down at the Marriott to book a room. But he couldn't just bring 1 or 2 people like he'd been bringing to the meetings. He had to fill that room, and he had a week to do it. So he went into all-out massive action. And he called everybody he knew, and he said, I don't care if you're interested, if you want to do it, I just need a butt in a seat. I just need you to come. We need to fill the space. I can't have it look bad. And if they'd say, no, I can't make it, he'd call them the next day. Just call in to see if your plans changed. I really need your, he was relentless. He got 80 people there. He signed up 18 of those people. That's what launched his business. And if his mentor hadn't left, he wouldn't be where he is today. And so sometimes when we come across an obstacle, that is often the way. That's how we get there. That's where the opportunity lies. So that was another thing that I got. The other thing that I got is the necessity of having a clear vision. A clear vision of what you're creating, even if you don't see how you're going to get there. That when you're talking to people, first you need to have a game plan. You need to say yes, then tell the world, then figure it out, right? But oftentimes people won't declare it to the world or won't even say yes until they figured out how they're going to do it. But you got to be bold. You got to say, this is what I'm going to do. And I am committing to it. And then you figure it out. And you declare it. So there's an accountability piece there. And so I am declaring to all of you, I will max out my business center by the end of next year. I will have 100 people on my team who are cycling 5 times or more a week, which will more than max out my business center. Maxing out my business center is $4,000 a year or more. And I will have 10 new people who are making a 6-figure income on my team by next year. So it's declaring it. It's this, the biggest thing I got, and then I'm going to turn it over to Jocelyn, is this is huge, guys. There were 20,000 people in that room. This is big business. This can create, the gal from Mary Kay, she was talking, and she was saying that for Thanksgiving, she had her entire family. And her entire family thought Thanksgiving was not just Thursday, but an entire week. And they came Tuesday through Tuesday. And there were 35 of them. And they didn't stay at a hotel. And they didn't eat at a restaurant. They stayed at her house. Her aunts, her grandparents, her kids, her grandkids, 35 of them. And they all stayed at her house, and she fed them. And that's what earning that sort of income can allow, to have a house big enough to do that. And that's what I want. It made me cry when she was talking about that. That's my vision, to be able to do that. That's what this can provide. And so dream big. You don't know what you can do. It may take 5 years. It may take 10 years. Some of these people have been doing it for 30 years. But they had created lives so extraordinary, that they were so jazzed about, that they were so in love with, and they were changing so many other lives. I mean, it's what is available is incredible. And then I just put out, they're doing a women in the Greatest Women in Network Marketing event in Vegas in March 2nd through the 4th. I am going. Invite everybody else who would like to go. There are a few tickets available, but I will tell you, listening to these women, they were powerhouses, and I learned so much. So with that, I'm going to mute myself and turn it over to Jocelyn.
What's up, people? Can everyone unmute themselves and say hello? Let's raise the energy up in here.
Turn up!
Hey.
I love it. Keep them coming.
Hey.
Woo. Okay, good. So glad to hear your voices. And going to this event was a completely last-minute decision, which was fun to be spontaneous and go. And so the first thing I think I'd share is that it really was powerful to bond with Lindsay and Lisa and create that synergy. And that's a huge thing, is our team synergy. And that's what we're really, inviting everyone into, is if you haven't met each other, reach out and meet each other. Because again, we're not siloed, we're not individual, we are a team. And so several takeaways. I have some notes here of my highlights. And first is just the room, being in the room with all these network marketing professionals, some brand new, some in the industry for 30, 40 years. And just as an industry, how much all companies, well, the 100 plus companies that were there are committed to raising the quality for everyone, that really everyone is thinking about how everyone can win. And especially Eric Worre is creating the possibility that it is about collaboration and not competition. There is no lack. There are, how many billion? Is it 7 or 8 billion people now? Anyone know the specific number?
Close enough.
Yeah. So there's just there's no reason to be, there's no scarcity. Just the numbers alone of how many people are in network marketing is a little over 100 million people. And then there's 7-8 billion. I think there's plenty of people. So just as a whole, seeing that they're really raising the energy of the profession as a whole was really cool. I could tell, I posted that in the live video, that there's the ISA glow missing. There is a very special glow about Isogenics. And if you haven't been to a large event, you'll see at NYKO, our skin is really vibrant. People looked a little gray there. Just saying. So I just really built even more belief in network marketing and Isogenics as a whole. Lisa touched on a bunch of the topics, but some that she didn't mention that really stood out to me was all of them, whether they were the network marketing professionals, it was Richard Branson, Tony Robbins, all of them hit on believing in the value of what you're sharing, believing in what you're actually offering, that you aren't just offering a shake, you are offering them the energy they haven't had for 20 years. The value of that is worth $1 million. Richard Branson, he's now one of the wealthiest people in the world. And you could just tell everything he creates, he believes in the value. And so for us, the more we believe, we aren't just offering someone a cleanse, we're offering a woman to feel sexy in front of her husband. Do you think she'd pay $1 million to feel sexy in front of her husband? Heck yes. Things like that. So if you aren't grounded in the value of what you're offering, if you don't know the value of the President's Pack, of the Pacesetters Pack, of what that provides, talk to someone and work that out. Because when you believe in the value, you are not selling, because you are just giving a gift. You don't feel any weirdness saying, this pack that you said you want to feel energized because you're exhausted playing with your kids. Yep, it's $400. Isn't that awesome? That is so low, because that is worth $1 million. So belief in the value was a huge thing that they all talked about. Let's see. The energy. Tony Robbins is all about the energy. So before you go to reach out to people, whether that's messaging or going to a meeting, what's your vibration then? What's your energy like then? If you are just trying to force yourself, maybe call someone for 5 minutes and get inspired and connected to your mission. Your energy is probably the biggest factor. People can sense that. There is the invisible that people can not explain, but they can feel it. So what's the energy? Maybe take 3 minutes, call up one of the team members, say, I'm about to go to this big meeting. I want to get connected to my vision, and get connected to it. Your energy matters. That is the biggest part. Whether you need to jump up and down, something like that, how you start your day. Let's see, energy. Oh, really choosing who you partner with. The 100 million, there was someone who made $100 million in network marketing. I was like, $100 million. He talked about in the beginning, when you're when we're all a novice, we all go through the period where we're like, anyone, someone try it. But really to choose your partners, really choose who you want to partner with. And not that you're like looking at your family members and you're like, well, I'm going to help you, but I'm not going to help you. Not like that, but more so setting the intention of the type of business partners you want. I want business partners that are up to big things. I want business partners that, believe that life is a gift. I want business partners that want to live an extraordinary life. So when you get clarity on your business partners, you will attract those people in. You will also be able to share what you believe. And that's the other thing is they all talked about, whether it's you're talking to someone verbally or on social media, share what you believe. Many of us, I've had my time on social media specifically where I just shared what I did. Here's what I do, here's the what and the how. But sharing what you believe, even if some of your posts are just about, I believe blah, blah, blah about life. So truly all of your words being in alignment with what you believe. And then, and I'm going to do a social media training this week. Would you guys want a social media training on what we learned some hands-on specific, like really good tools. So I'll lead that. So then the last, there's so many things really that no one can tell you you're a leader. You just choose it. And you just say, Eric Worre said probably 1,000 times, leaders don't look for the solution, they create the solution. So if you feel like there's a support tool that you don't have or you don't know where it is, you go out and find it or you create it. So that for me was really awesome to just hear like, okay, yeah, anything I've been maybe blaming on someone else, I can go create that. And then the last thing, 2 minutes, because Lisa, just so I don't repeat it because we talked about it, you didn't share about the like 10-10-10 thing from Tony, did you? Okay, so Tony Robbins says he has grown all 100 of his companies. Imagine having 100 companies through this 10-10-10 rule, which is you can grow a business through increasing your number of clients, increasing the number that those clients order, increasing the recurring orders of those clients. So there's 3 ways you can grow. But if you break it down and you go for 10% growth in each of those, so let's say you've enrolled 10 people so far. If your goal is to enroll 10% more, one person, and then you help 10% of your team order a little bit more, and then you help 10% of your team order more often. So you can think, or you can make the number 20%. You set the bar for yourself, but you look at all 3 of those metrics. And it's just a great way, again, zooming out on your business and really looking at, okay, I'm taking care of my clients. I'm supporting them. I'm going to help bring 10% more clients on, help 10% order more that supports their goal, and help 10% people stay longer. Or 20% again, set your bar. But that way it's then not just like, let me grow my business, unorganized. It really just helps a good business tool. He's grown 100 companies with that method. I'm like, that's cool. So I'll stop my time. There was a lot. I'll lead that. I'll post about the social media training because they did share a lot of like hands-on tools. So Lindsay, would you share some more?
Hey guys. Yeah, it like Jocelyn said, this was a totally spontaneous trip that came together in the last couple of days right before the event, and I think it was really meant to be. I love, Joy, all of your family joining in on the call. Hi, Joy's family. And I'll wrap up with a couple of thoughts, but first, before I do that, something I really took away from the event was intention. That holding the intention for where we're going in our business is crucial. Keeping that intention alive and working every day toward it. And that starts, I want you to even think about how that impacts how we all come to this call. So going back to what Lisa started off with at the very beginning, like the employee mindset versus the entrepreneur mindset. For me, that had me look at, how do I show up on these calls when I'm not the one speaking? Am I engaged? Am I on my phone doing other things? Am I really listening for what's going to take my business to the next level? So I would love to open it up. I want 3 people to share something specific you took away from the call tonight. I really want, my intention is for each of you to start, whether you're comfortable with it or not, especially if you're not comfortable sharing on this call, every single week, raising your hand to share on this call, because our intention is that eventually you all will be leading it and we're going to be learning from you. So 3 people right now. I'd love to hear one thing you're taking away from this conversation tonight, any part of it. Dawn, we'll do you first.
Can't hear you, Dawn.
Unmuted, but we're not able to hear you for some reason. Technology. Okay, let's move on to one other person. Dawn, we'll have you figure out your audio on your end. Who wants to share in Dawn's place first? Or we can all just look at each other. Okay, so I saw Kathy, Kylie, and Michael all raise your hands simultaneously, so we'll go in that order. Kathy, Kylie, then Michael. And Dawn, if we're able to hear you.
Okay, well, I loved everything that all of you guys shared. But one of the things I really, really liked was believing in the value of what we have to offer. And Jocelyn, your examples were like amazing. I never thought about talking to one of my friends about, like, how would you like to really look sexy in front of your husband? And I just never thought of that. But I know every one of them would go, yeah. So, it's just like a no-brainer, but I hadn't thought of it. So that was really good. And how your energy is so important. And I know sometimes my energy is really, really high, and sometimes it's not. And so I guess I'm going to have to make a few phone calls or text messages to somebody before I'm, going to a meeting. So thank you for that.
Awesome, Kathy. Thank you. Kylie, we'll throw it to you next.
Hey, guys. Okay. So Kathy just touched on the main 2 that I really got from the call as well, but the other one is shifting the employee mindset to the entrepreneur mindset, because a lot of times, like Hilda shared earlier, it's like, okay, I have this free time. I'm going to go catch up on my shows. I'm totally guilty of that. So to remember that I am the CEO of my own life, of my business, and to produce the results. Because I am so used to just being the employee, and it's like, what do you want me to do? Okay, I'll go do that, and then I get it done. So really just setting the goals, having a plan in place, and then showing up for myself and my business to do that.
Awesome. Love that so much. Michael, final thoughts.
Yeah, I can really relate to what you just shared, Kylie, about the employee mindset and waiting for someone to tell me what to do. And just in the initial training you were doing, Lisa, I was like, man, I'll schedule time, but then I won't actually schedule what I'm going to do during that time. So when the time comes, it's like, well, I got nothing to do. So I guess I got this other thing. So someone will tell me to ask me to do something else or invite me to do something else. I'm like, all right, well, I'll just do that since I obviously don't have anything here, which is so not what I'm committed to. So I definitely got bringing that back in, yes, scheduling the time, but also okay, what am I going to do during that time? And then Jocelyn, what you just said, no one can tell you're a leader, you just choose it, was that one just pierced my heart. And yeah, I'm ready to choose it. I'm choosing it.
Well, here's my magic wand, and I am deeming you officially a leader, every single one of you on this call. But isn't that so funny? I remember I had that relationship to it too, waiting for some magic wand to come over me and say, okay, you're a leader now. And there is no magic wand whatsoever. So I just want to recap, if anyone hasn't seen what Dawn shared in the comments. She typed out her response since we weren't able to hear her. She took away that she needs to treat it like a business. For her, that means doing things that she doesn't want to do, like overcoming fear. And then definitely the part that Jocelyn was sharing about treating your business like an external entity. You know, if you relate to it like a business, not something personal, then it becomes easier to separate that someone's saying no to you, or the things we're afraid of, that it's personal. So I love that so much, Dawn, and thanks for contributing that too. Everything that the other two ladies shared, I took away. I mean, I have a notebook full, but if there were anything else that I could add on top of what had already been said, there was a really powerful conversation about, I guess, what you could call obstacles. And they shared, I forget which speaker it was, but shared a quote from Marcus Aurelius about how what stands in our way becomes the way. So whatever it is that you're facing, if it right now it's the fear about prospecting or figuring out who to talk to, if we map that onto the conversations we've already had about setting your intention, taking on that you are the leader, what stands in your way, or what we feel sometimes is standing in our way, is the way, that is the pathway to the next level of growth. Tony Robbins said it probably the best way. It's never a lack of resources. It's a lack of resourcefulness.
Boom. Sorry.
Forgot he was here. Which means that, you know, it's never the lack of people to talk to. It's never the, I don't know what to say. It's, are we being resourceful in finding the answers that we're looking for? Because whatever right now feels like it's standing right there, the wall between where you are and where you want to be in this business, there's no way around it. Facing that thing, whatever it is that's right in front of you, is the pathway to creating the business that you want. That's the only way. And if we look at it like the opportunity that it is, that's how we see a whole different business, and we become a whole different person in the process. So we're preaching to the choir here in saying that December is the time to be digging in and working in your business. Everyone on this call, by showing up and consistently showing up, both on these calls, the team huddles, as well as showing up for your business in the month of December, you are right now creating your 2017. So I really want to acknowledge every single person on this call for showing up, and continue to do so, because everything that we do now is setting up our whole next year, specifically the first quarter of next year. So with that, we just want to remind everyone, it's not too late to make plans to get to New Year kickoff. And I get that that might be a stretch, but it's not when your business starts to pick up, you can come to the events. It's when you decide, you draw the line in the sand that you are the leader your team is looking for, and you put it into the universe that you are a leader by getting yourself to the event. That's when the people you are looking to partner with show up. So if we can support you in any way in getting to the event, making the arrangements, working it out for you to be there, reach out to us. And then the other thing we really want to challenge you is, if you are already scheduled to come, who are you bringing? If you're not yet scheduled to bring someone, it could be a prospect. It is not too late to be inviting people to join you at the event, and it is my personal invitation and my personal challenge to each and every one of you. Whoever you're bringing with you now, bring one more person. You know, what if we all stretched ourselves to bring one more person, ourselves included? So that's step one. If you're not bringing yourself, bring yourself, then bring one other person. And set that intention rather than going into the holidays like, well, I don't think it's going to happen for me this year. It's just not going to work out. How would your 2017 look if you show up at the event and bring one person with you? So anything else from you, Jocelyn or Lisa, before we wrap up?
Just that we're pretty sure that mint chocolate shakes are coming out tomorrow. So if you want any, I have a feeling they'll sell out tomorrow. I would get on early and I would order what you want. I'm ordering 10.
And lastly, I'll just say, stay tuned. We're going to be launching an exciting program in January. You probably have seen me drip in Leaders Rising, and just be ready. This is going to be the best freaking launch pad for all of you epic leaders in January. So
hot.
Yeah, it is so sexy. I can't even wait.
It's sexier than Elliot's handlebar mustache.
Impossible.
Like guest speakers, like Eric Coover is a guest speaker, Mackenzie from the Delighted by Hummus. Like, we're going to have epic guests come to this. So be ready.
Okay, with that, we will say goodbye to everybody and see you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye. Have a good week.